Imagine a classroom where students are not just memorizing facts, but actively exploring real world problems, asking questions, and creating meaningful projects. Learning becomes engaging, practical, and even exciting. This is exactly what our discussion today. It is about approaches in project based and inquiry based instructional plans and multimedia learning tools. Good morning, everyone. We are your reporters for today. I am Rainy Barnazo, and along with Mr. Rolit J. Aitona, Ms. Joanna Tan, and Bea Hestosani, we will discuss with you how these approaches work and how multimedia tools support learning and how they help students develop critical thinking, collaboration, and problem skills. In this report, we aim to give you a clear understanding of these teaching approaches. Especially, we will define the concepts of project-based learning and inquiry-based learning, explain the different approaches used in these instructional plans, identify the role of multimedia learning tools in supporting student engagement and understanding, and show how these approaches help students develop critical thinking, collaboration, and problem-solving skills. Through this discussion, we hope to provide a glimpse into how these strategies make learning more meaningful, interactive, and effective for students. But first, hibaluon naton danay kung ano balang meaning or ano balang silingon kung maghambal kita sing project-based learning or also known as PBL. So project-based learning is a method where students learn by actively participating in projects that have real-world relevance. Instead of simply memorizing information, nag-explore pagid ang students, nag-investigate and create solutions which helps them develop important skills like critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and problem solving. So this approach enable or allow students to take responsibility for their learning, making the experience more meaningful, engaging, and applicable to everyday life. So may ara three key features ang project-based learning. First, it has a real-world connection, where projects are based on actual problems or situations, making learning more meaningful pagid and relevant to learn. Second, it is student-centered or it is student-centered, which allows gina-allow or tagaan sing chance ang mga students to actively explore, research, and make decisions with the teacher guiding them through the process. And third, it emphasizes collaboration and problem solving kung diin ang estudyante naga-work sila together or naga-promote teamwork and able to foster their ability to think critically and develop solution or for a final product for such problems. With these features in mind, I will now pass it on to the next reporter, Ms. Joanna Tan, who will discuss the different approaches in project-based instructional plans, showing kung paano ba lang mga strategies nga ni gina-apply man in actual learning environments. Thank you.
So now I will discuss the different approaches used in project-based instructional plans. So according to Renian, project-based learning or PBL uses a different teaching approaches to help students become more active in the learning process. So instead of only listening to lectures, students participate in a meaningful tasks and projects that allow them to explore ideas, solve problems, and apply what they have learned in real life situations. So these approaches that we're going to tackle help make learning more engaging, interactive, and relevant to students' everyday experiences. So the first approach is the problem-centered approach. So in this approach, learning begins with a real-life problem or challenge. So instead of starting with theories or explanations, students are first introduced to a problem that needs to be solved. So they then investigate this situation, gather information, and analyze the possible solutions. So in this approach, it helps students develop critical thinking, research skills, and problem solving abilities because they're actively involved in understanding the issue and finding practical ways to address it. So in this example, I have here a problem, and the problem is plastic waste in the community. So through this approach, the problem-centered approach, the students um, will be able to investigate the sources of plastic waste. They will also conduct surveys in their community and propose solutions such as recycling programs or even tree planting activities. So, through this approach, students become more aware of their environmental issues and learn how they can contribute to solving a real community problems. So, our second approach is the collaborative learning approach. In this approach, students work together in groups or teams to complete their task. So, each member of the group has a role or responsibility, and they cooperate with each other to accomplish the task successfully. So, collaboration encourages students to share ideas, listen to different perspectives, and help each other to improve their work, and it also develops important life skills such as teamwork, communication, and leadership skills. So, by working with others, students learn that successful projects are often the results of cooperation and shared effort. So here, my example in this approach is a group project. So, for example, you have a group task, and your group project should be, or your group project is to create a short documentary about local culture. So, through this approach, the group members will be able to research their cultural traditions, um, interview community members, record videos, and edit and present the documentary. So, through this project, students not only learn about culture but also develop teamwork and communication skills. So now let's move on to our third approach, which is the technology integrated approach. So in this approach naman, technology is used as a learning tool to support research, creativity, and presentation. Digital tools help students gather information faster, yes, and organize their ideas and present their projects in more engaging ways. So, technology also allows students to develop literacy skills, which are important in today's modern and technology driven world. So, students can use various digital platforms for research and collaboration and project creation. So now I have here some example for this approach. So we have here the technology tools that students can use, and also I also use. And I think most of us BCAD students use this kind of apps. So we have here the PowerPoint or the Google Slides. We have also Canva for presentations like what we are doing right now. We are presenting you this report through Canva, and we can also edit our presentation here and also record a video. So we have also here Google Docs for collaboration. Google Docs is my number one saver, especially if you are doing a group work, because at the same time you can add or edit together with your group even you're not in the same place, because yeah, it is, this kind of app is really for collaboration. So you have also here video editing apps, which is one of the most popular is the CapCut. So using technology helps students present their ideas more clearly and creatively. Now, for our fourth approach or our final approach, we have the multimedia project development. So, in this approach, naman, students can create outputs that combine different types of media, such as text, images, audio, and video. Multimedia projects also allow students to express their ideas in different and creative ways. So, instead, we will only write reports, the students can design digital presentation, produce videos or creative visual materials that make learning more interesting and engaging. So, multimedia also helps students develop creativity, presentation skills, and their technological abilities. And here in this approach, my example is this different multimedia projects. So first we have here the educational video about climate change. We have also digital poster about health awareness and interactive presentation about Philippine history. So those three are an example of a multimedia projects. Yes. And these multimedia outputs allow students to present their ideas creatively and make their project more informative and visually appealing, like what we are seeing right now. So that's all for my report. And now our next reporter is Jay Aiton.
Good day, everyone. Today, I will be discussing inquiry based learning, also known as IBL. This instructional approach focuses on helping students learn through questioning, exploration, and investigation, rather than simply receiving information from the teacher. So, what is inquiry based learning? Inquiry based learning is a teaching approach where students learn through asking questions, investigating ideas, exploring problems, and discovering answers. So, inquiry based learning is a teaching approach wherein ang mga student nag-learn sila through asking questions like exploring ideas and discovering answer. Instead nga ang teacher nagaobra sa tanang explanation, students become active participants in this learning process. They investigate problems, conduct research, and analyze information to build their own understanding of a concept. So now, we will gonna proceed to the key features of inquiry-based learning. There are several key features of inquiry-based learning. First, it encourages curiosity, which motivates students to ask questions about the topic. Second, it promotes critical thinking, since students need to analyze information and find explanations. Third, it supports independent learning, allowing students to explore ideas and discover answers on their own. Overall, this approach focuses on learning through exploration and investigation. 5E Inquiry Instructional Model. So what is the 5E Inquiry Instructional Model? A common framework used in inquiry-based learning is the 5E model. The 5 phases are engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. One of the most commonly used frameworks in inquiry-based learning is the 5E instructional model. The 5E model consists of 5 phases of learning, that is engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. These stages guide students through the learning process and help them develop a deeper understanding of the lesson. So the first stage is engagement. In this phase, the teacher introduced the lesson by presenting an interesting question, problem, or scenario. The purpose is to capture the student's attention and activate their prior knowledge about the topic. For example, a teacher might ask a question, why do some objects float while others sink? This question encourages students to start thinking about possible explanation. The second stage is exploration. During this phase, students investigate the problem through experiment, research, or group discussion. They gather information, observe results, and explore possible explanation. At this stage, the teacher acts as the facilitator, guiding students while they actively explore the concept. The third one, or the third stage rather, is explanation. In this phase, students share their findings and ideas with the class. They explain what they discovered during the exploration stage. The teacher may then provide additional explanation to clarify important concepts and ensure that students fully understand the topic. The fourth stage is elaboration. In this stage, students apply their new knowledge to different situations or problems. This helps them deeper their understanding and see how the concept works in real life context. For example, after learning about floating and sinking, students might apply the concept to understand how ships and boats stay afloat. And lastly, the final stage is evaluation. In this phase, the teacher assesses the student's understanding of the lesson. This can be done through quizzes, activities, presentations, or discussion. Evaluation helps determine whether students have successfully learned this concept and developed their inquiry skills. So to conclude, inquiry-based learning is an effective teaching approach that encourages active participation, curiosity, and critical thinking. Through the 5E instructional model, students are guided through a process of questioning, exploration, and explaining, and applying knowledge. This approach helps learners become more independent and engaged in their learning process. Thank you for listening.
So good day everyone. Today I will be discussing the multimedia learning tools in instructional plans. In modern education, technology plays a major role in how teachers deliver lessons and how students learn. In this presentation, we will talk about the meaning of multimedia learning tools, example of these tools, their benefits, and how they can be integrated with project-based and inquiry-based learning. First, let us understand the meaning of multimedia learning tools. So, multimedia learning tools are digital resources that combine different forms of media such as text, images, audio, video, animation, and interactive elements. So these tools help teachers present information in more creative and effective ways. So instead of relying only on lectures or textbooks, teachers can use multimedia to explain idea visually and interactively. So because of this, complex concepts become easier for students to understand and lesson become more engaging and meaningful. For the next one is the examples of multimedia learning tools. There are many types of multimedia learning tools that teachers can include in their instructional plans. So some example include digital presentations such as slideshows or interactive slides that combine text, images, and videos. So teachers may also use concept mapping software which help organize ideas visually and allow students to see relationships between concepts. So another example is educational videos and animation, so which are very helpful in explaining processes that may be difficult to visualize. So in addition, there are simulations and virtual laboratories which allow students to experiment and explore concepts in a digital environment. So teachers may also use interactive whiteboards and online collaboration platforms to encourage participation and teamwork in the classroom. So all of these tools help make learning more dynamic and interactive. Next is benefits of multimedia learning tools. So using multimedia learning tools provides several benefits in education. First, they improve understanding of complex concepts because visual and interactive elements help students grasp difficult ideas more easily. The second one, multimedia tools increase students' engagement. Videos, animations, and interactive activities makes lesson more interesting and capture students' attention. So for the third one, they support different learning styles. So some students learn better through visuals, while others prefer listening or interactive activities. So multimedia resources allow teachers to address these different preferences. So for the fourth one, multimedia tools enhance creativity and collaboration. So students can create presentations, videos, or digital projects that shows their learning. Lastly, they help students develop digital literacy skills, which are essential in today's technology. Integration with project-based and inquiry-based learning. Multimedia learning tools become even more powerful when combined with project-based learning and inquiry-based learning. In project-based learning, students work on real-world projects that require them to apply their knowledge and skills. In inquiry-based learning, students explore questions, investigate problems, and discover answers through research and experimentation. So technology supports these approaches by providing tools for research, collaboration, experimentation, and presentation. For example, these students may conduct scientific investigations using simulations, analyze data, and present their finding using multimedia presentations or digital reports. So this approach encourages active learning, critical thinking, and problem solving. So in conclusion, these project-based learning and inquiry-based learning are effective teaching approaches that encourage students to actively participate in learning process. When these approaches are combined with multimedia learning tools, they create a more engaging and interactive learning environment. So technology allows teachers to design lessons that promote exploration, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So, through projects, investigations, and multimedia presentations, students develop a deeper understanding of concepts and gain important skills needed for success in the 21st century.